Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our class on data modeling and management. So, let's get started. Today, we are going to learn about SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language. A database is like a library for information. SQL is the special language we use to communicate to that library. It is the language of data. SQL became a standard language around 1986. SQL is the standard language for databases. This is great because if you learn SQL, you can work with many different database systems. It's a universal skill. Now, the slide says SQL has two main parts. Data definition language, or DDL, is how we build the database. It's how we define the tables that will hold our data. For example, we use DDL to create a students table with columns for student ID, name, and major. Data manipulation language, or DML, this is what you do inside the database after it's built. For example, insert, update, select, or delete. DML is how we manage and use the data inside our tables. So DDL is for building the structure, and DML is for using the data. SQL is designed for creating the database, adding data, changing data, and finding data. On this slide, you can see the four most important DML commands. These are like our four basic tools. Select, this is for getting data, it's the most used command. Insert, this is for adding new data. For example, adding a new student to the school database. Update, this is for changing existing data. For example, updating a student's phone number. Delete is for removing data. For example, deleting a class that has been canceled. Select is the common command for getting data. It has a very specific sequence. Select, this is what you want. Specifies which columns should appear in the output. From, this is where you get it from. Specifies the table or tables to be used. Where, this is any special request or filter. Filters the lines subject to some condition. The other parts, group by, forms groups of rows with the same value for some columns, and having is condition-based group filters. The select distinct statement is used to return only different values. Inside a table, a column often contains many duplicate values, and sometimes you only want to list the different values. Where is the command for filter? It's one of the most powerful parts of SQL. We will use for filter data subject to some condition. When we use the where, we need operators to make comparisons. These should look very familiar to you for mathematics. We can also use and, or, and not to combine conditions. For example, where price less than 500 and color equals blue. This means both conditions must be true. Where city equals Bangkok or city equals Seoul, this means either condition can be true. It's just simple logic. The between operator is a nice shortcut. It lets you check if a value is within a range. For example, filter employee that's salary between 1,000 and 20,000 Thai baht. Let's say you want to find all students who are from Thailand, Korea, or Japan. You could write where country equals Thailand, or Korea, or Japan. This works, but it's a lot of typing. The easier way is to use in. You can just say where country in Thailand, Korea, or Japan. It means is the country in this list of values. It's much shorter and easier to understand, especially if your list is very long. The like operator is super useful. It's for pattern matching. The percentage symbol is a wildcard. It means any characters. The other symbol is underscore. This matches just one single character. Null does not mean zero. It does not mean an empty space. Null means the value is unknown or missing. Imagine a form where you ask for a person's date of birth and phone number. Maybe someone enters their birthday, but leaves the phone number field blank. That phone number is null. We don't know it. The order by clause allows rows to be displayed in ascending or descending order of any column or combination of columns, regardless of what appears in the result. Aggregation functions. These functions take many values and give you back one single summary value. For example, count, sum, average, min, and max. The group by is often used with aggregation functions. It lets you group your rows based on a column and then perform a calculation for each group. Until now, we have only taken data from one table at a time. But in the real world, information is stored in many different tables. We use a join to connect tables together using a related column. The exists command is like asking a simple yes or no question to the database. It checks if a subquery, a query inside a query, returns any results. Sometimes we want to combine the results of two different select statements. We can use union, intersect, or except. Union gives you all the rows from the first query or the second query. Intersect gives you only the rows that appear in both the first query and the second query. Except, this gives you the rows that are in the first query but not in the second query. These are the other key parts of DML. Insert to add new rows, update to change existing rows, delete to remove rows. Let's look at each one. Insert is how we add new data. We use the insert into command. We say which table we are adding to, and then list the columns, and then provide the values for that new record. We use the update command. We say which table to update, we set the new value, and we use a where clause to say which row to change. If you forget the where clause, you will change the major for all students in the table, so you must be very careful. Finally, delete. This is for removing rows. We use the delete from command. We say which table to delete from, and we use a where clause to specify which row to delete. Just like update, the where clause is extremely important. If you forget it and just say delete from courses, you will delete every course from the table.